Hello, everybody, and welcome to sort of our first annual overview, celebration, anniversary, whatever you want to call it. I really wouldn't call it a celebration just because we're not doing anything special, as I'm still getting adjusted to my new place. Might even sound a little bit echoey in here. My apologies again. But I thought it would be apropos to go over just a first year look at the channel as we approach April the 5th. I'm recording this on the 29th of March, but this will be uploaded on the 5th. Just to take a nice good look year back, the good, the bad, what we can improve on, more personal things that affected delays and things of that nature. So let us get into it. Before we get into it, if you enjoyed the content up to this point, make sure to leave a like, comment down below on what is one thing I could do better in terms of variables I can control, like audio, quality, different style videos, you name it, and subscribe for more content as we gear up for the Nintendo Switch 2, which by the time this goes up, we'll probably already have had that Switch 2 reveal presentation. So let's get over this. So the data from this slide or from these this keynote, PowerPoint, whatever, is from March 29th. So if it changes within the next 6 days or so, then my data will be a little outdated, but no worries. All right, table of contents. We're going to go over a few things. Section 1 is going to be my personal life and previous failures. So that's going to be more on stuff going on in my personal life that would have affected my production. My previous channels, failures that I've had in the past with other channels I used to have when I was younger, that kind of thing. Section 2, the origin of the channel. I want everyone to sort of know where the idea came from and like how I came across it. Section 3 is going to be finding the formula. This is more so what did it take for me to find what really worked, what didn't work, and the rhythm that I eventually will have gotten into. Section 4, the tech issues, and that's going to be more so doing stereo versus mono, the storage issues I've had and are currently having, and then my mic upgrades and things of that nature. Section 5 is going to be the numbers for both channels, SNGL Plus and SNGL. I want you guys to see the big difference between what does maximum effort look like as opposed to I'm just going to upload this and schedule this every week. Section 6 is going to be the future. This is going to be stuff I have planned, one of the LP supercuts that I've recorded that I'm currently editing that you will see, just things that I want to do in the future that I hope will come to pass with enough time. And then Section 7 will be closing, a summary plus, a farewell slash thank you, period. All right, Section 1, personal life and previous failures. So personal life events, college was very hard, largely because if you've listened to my supercuts, especially if you've listened to SNGL Plus, you know that I did not do loans, scholarships, grants, or parental help. No loans and scholarships and grants, largely because I didn't fill out a FAFSA application when I started college. I didn't really know how to do that, and you needed your parents' information, income, social security number, all that stuff, and I was unable to collect that information. I didn't have any scholarships or grants because I moved too much, and I know that one of the grants that everyone was telling me a grant was the Pell Grant. It didn't really matter because by the time that I was aware of those things, I was already over halfway through, and it didn't really change or impact anything. The good news is I was able to graduate college debt free, which I'm very, very thankful for as we have gotten to this point so far. Number 2, juggling everything. So this was the largest reason why this first year was so difficult, and I do not believe I met my full potential. I believe I met my full potential for the year and the circumstances that arose, but not what I know I can do given the ample amount of time, if that makes sense. So I was working full-time. School. I was doing school full-time, so I was enrolled in 2 business classes every 2 months. So if you divide that out on an annual basis, I was doing 1 class a month with no breaks. I didn't take a summer break. I just wanted to get it done. That's just my mentality. My dog, Jackson, he's wonderful, but he needed daycare. He needed, spending time with him, not just leaving him in an apartment to be in solitary confinement. He's a living being like me. We both needed socialization, and the very minimal amount that we get is extremely crucial. And then working out, I try to be as active as I can. That's in moderation. I do this more for health reasons rather than looks or bragging rights, I guess, because I guess that's a thing. And then add YouTube on top of all of that. That made it extremely challenging. And then last year of college is always the hardest as you get closer and closer to your goal or graduation. Your mentality goes down the crapper. and your motivation tends to drop. All right, and then graduation. I did not have a formal graduation period. I just got my diploma literally, I think 2 days ago or a day ago from the time of this recording. So I didn't have a traditional graduation, but I still needed to pay for graduation. I still needed to get information to my university, etc. And then I just moved to a new city. If you guys have been keeping up with me on social media, you know this. Especially you'll know more when my next supercut releases, hopefully within the next week or two. Still trying to get all that out on time. Previous failures. I had 2 channels prior to this one. So both of them were the previous 2 were ones that no longer exist. One was going to be the prototype for what would eventually be SNGL today, Super Nintendo Gaming League. Those 2 channels were more quantity focused and more just pumping out crap. And it wasn't even good crap. Like, I know there's some crap out there that's actually good. There was no good crap in it at all. Upon having 2 failures, it helped me sort of model the current channel I know I have today. I viewed it more as a numbers game than something I actually like to do. The motivation started to dwindle, and I wasn't buying brand new games because when you're a teenager, you don't have money to buy stuff. I always lived with other people. That can be hard to record. So of course, you guys know that I just moved from a student living community, and I had like 2 roommates. That can be hard to record. And then before that, I was living with my folks, and they have a very strict rules in their household, so that made it very, very hard. I didn't have the means to purchase new games, like I said, when I was a teenager, and then going through college, I couldn't buy like the newest, latest, and greatest thing, which, I mean, I'm still a frugal person. That's just me and my nature. But like, I can buy games like that are coming out, like Metroid Prime 4, and then, you know, Pokemon Legends ZA or whatever else comes down the pipeline. So definitely not being in college helps. And then also, I couldn't figure out my formula for the 2 past failures. I just didn't have a theme. Nintendo was always the theme, but it was never like, oh, I'm going to have this kind of schedule. I'm going to do this kind of marketing. I'm going to tell everybody about it. No, it was nothing like that. Definitely had failures that led to, I would say, moderate success considering where I started, what I went through, and everything else. All right, so the origin of the 3rd time for SNGL. Originally didn't want to start another channel after my failures. I had been avoiding YouTube like the plague because of burnout, plus college, plus everything. I knew I didn't have the time to do it. I knew legitimately I didn't have the time to do it. So I was already sort of refusing it. One of my jobs, I used to be a salesman, and I'm trying to say this with as much anonymity as possible. So that way, you know, if I ever get there big enough, I don't want to be sued or you defamation of character. No, I don't want any of that. So that's why I'm trying to be as vague as possible. I was a salesman, and we were at this community event. It was in the very rural area. Don't know why we went there. And somebody who was working I think a fast food truck. I was talking to this person just a little bit about me. I was bored. I mean, there wasn't much still going on at the moment in time. When I told this person that I used to do YouTube, they're like, "Oh, you should do that again." And like, "Oh, why'd you quit?" And I'm like, I got into a numbers game. I got tired of it. And then this person recommended at this very rural community event that I should begin doing it a third time, YouTube a third time. So I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll do it and see what happens. And before I even started recording my first video, I had the formula kind of in my head, but it's been changed. And then I didn't think anything of it, but then things happened. I was like, you know what? Let me do that as a fun thing. And I did it. And that's kind of how we got to where we are today. All right. So section 3, finding the formula. This is very crucial if you want to know how these videos are made. So originally I wanted to have 4 people commentate and run the channel. I actually really love channels where they have multiple people, because then the work is sort of divided up evenly, even though everyone's commentating. I always thought of the idea that one person for every LP would be different. Like one person 1, 2, 3, or 4. Person 1 would do this LP, and then after that, the second person would do the editing for the second one, and so on and so forth. But I hadn't really found a group of people, and I'm realizing now more than ever that may never happen. I mean, I'd be open to it, but I genuinely don't think, for considering my life and what I go through and how busy I am, I don't think that's feasible anymore. The entire series, if you are not aware of this phrase, this was what I planned to do for the Donkey Kong Country series. The entire series was meant to be, I was going to record all the games in a specific series. So like Donkey Kong Country, I recorded the original all the way up to Tropical Freeze, and I was going to combine all that into one video. But then I realized there's a 12-hour time limit. B, I wasn't cutting enough out for highlights and things. And then I realized that 5 games of back-to-back Donkey Kong Country were not necessarily smart. Record weekly, schedule schedule upload content for SNGL Plus. So every week, SNGL Plus gets a video. I've scheduled them out to like August 15th as of this recording, and then comprise a supercut highlight reel for monthly uploads for SNGL, the main channel. I have not been keeping up with this at this moment just because I've been buying furniture and moving into my new place, getting used to my job, and I work 45 hours. So that's largely why I haven't been able to do as such. And then the format in which I record now is I record an MOV and then I export it as MP4, because when it gets converted to YouTube, it changes. All right, section 4, the tech issues. This is something I've had all year long, and it's important to go over the problems that I've had so you understand a little bit of why I wasn't able to meet certain deadlines. So let's get into this. The tech issues. I had a 2016 Mac of 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I had that thing for 7 years. Let me think. 2023. So yeah, about 7 years I had that. I had wireless mics because, again, I thought I was going to have multiple people on this channel. As of now, that still isn't happening. And then, if you remember way back, I think right around Marioparty 5 to, I think I said in either of those videos that I was going to record Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and I think if you guys recall, I think I stated that I recorded everything in stereo, which, if you know anything, I record in 2 audio tracks, one for my game and one for my commentary audio. It's just easier that way, so if my game audio is too loud or I'm too loud, I can adjust accordingly. For Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I put everything in stereo, and when you're recording in 2 audio tracks, and you are recording, you have your audio set to stereo, it merges the 2 files. So my game audio was ridiculously loud, and there wasn't much commentary audio. So that's why, if you've heard rumors about me recording that game, I did record that game. I 100%ed it too, and the audio was screwed up. And I recorded the whole game first before I even touch any editing. So that's largely why I wasn't able to publish that game supercut. And then now I have a new hardware. I have a new 2023 Mac Mini. Well, it's not really new anymore, but you get my point. 16 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of internal storage, and then I have a 4 terabyte SSD drive. I did have a 4 terabyte HDD drive. I was keeping some videos on that, and it crapped out, and we'll get into it a little bit later. And then I have a new mic, Shure MV7 Plus. It was literally, when I bought that mic, is when it came out. I think right around that time. I was like, that's kind of crazy, because I didn't want to go to a Blue Yeti. I was so sick of having to have everything perfectly quiet, and if you know anything about Blue Yetis, they pick up everything. So I think it was a good choice, because eventually I'm going to go to analog audio instead of digital, which this mic is a hybrid microphone, so that'll definitely help in the future. And then I had low audio input, so when I was recording, I wasn't boosting my audio enough, and this is largely why I want to go to analog, because you have far more control. Because in the Shure mixer mic software I use, I can only boost my audio like 12 decibel plus, and that's a decent amount. But when you do analog, you can boost it from like negative 30 decibels to 30 decibels, so you have a wide range of more control over your audio, and it sounds a little bit better, if I'm being honest. In Final Cut Pro, so I had HDD external drive problems, so I was editing, and all these massive files are on an HDD external drive, which, if you don't know what that is, it's just a very slow storage device for what I was trying to do. My computer was fine. It was just, it couldn't read the data quick enough. The hard drive couldn't read the data quick enough, and that was why I was having such delays in editing. But now I have a 4 terabyte SSD drive. I'm going to get an 8 terabyte, I think, another SSD drive for another slot for my USB-C hub, because my HDD drive crapped out. I had Skyward Sword edited for SNGL Plus, all the parts, and I put them on my HDD external drive because I didn't have enough room on my 4 terabyte SSD drive, because Final Cut Pro project files are huge. And then I put all those videos on there, and then now my HDD drive can't be read by my computer anymore. I think it bit the dust, and it's only been like 5, 6. I think it's been like 6, 7 months since I bought that thing. But regardless, I shouldn't have been using it anyway. I still have the original footage for Skyward Sword. I just have to go back and edit it again. But I'm gonna work on the supercut probably after this video. Section 5, the numbers, probably the most important thing that I'm sure everyone but myself cares about. This is gonna be great. So for SNGL Plus numbers, we're going to go over this first. So the data is from April 5th, 2024 to not April 5th, 2025. It's actually March 29th, 2025, but close enough. So there are lower numbers. I don't put as much effort into those videos. I cut out like the occasional time I swear. I cut out the times I have to go to the restroom because I'm human and I drink water. And I had just found the formula for SNGL Plus because in the beginning, I didn't know what I was going to do. Obviously, the whole goal of SNGL Plus was to upload the raw footage because I thought in my head, and I didn't know about SSD drives or HDD drives. I just thought, gee, I don't have a big enough storage because I bought an Apple product and I didn't expand my storage. Where am I going to store all those videos if I ever want to go back and edit those again? And I'm like, I should create a second channel alongside my main one so that way all the raw footage can be there. And if it gets some views, great. And if it doesn't, no biggie. That was the original purpose of that. And then I was uploading like 12-hour videos, and that can take a long time. And then I realized, you know what? Let me break it up. Every week on SNGL Plus now, viewers get between 50 minutes to 2.5 to sometimes 3 hours of footage each week. And I thought that was a lot better because managing daily uploads, even if they're scheduled, is a lot of work, and I pre-record everything. Could I do it? Yes. And it would probably overload some people, so that's why I put every week instead of every day. I don't do any social media marketing for this. I don't really think I should be putting 100% effort in both of these channels. I just don't have the time to. So that's why I wasn't doing social media marketing on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. A lot of people are telling me to do TikTok, but I mean, I'm not doing shorts at the moment. Once I start doing shorts, which we'll get into that later, I might start doing that. But there was no social media marketing for this past year for SNGL Plus. Let's see. So total views on the channel on SNGL Plus from April 5th, 2024 to March 29th, 2025 was 1,027 views, which again, if for not trying, that isn't that bad. And only like, I think it was only like 36 videos. I don't know if it counts scheduled videos. I'd have to go back and look. So average view duration was 1 minute and 75 seconds. That's actually, oh wait, hold on. That's not right. There are no 75 seconds. So that would be probably, let me think, 2 minutes and 10 seconds, 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So that actually isn't that bad. Considering I wasn't trying at all. Average view per video was 29, which isn't terrible for not trying. I mean, again, I really wasn't trying. I just dumped all my footage there. Most popular video was Luigi's Mansion 2 Finale. 405 views. That was not bad. I put a lot of work into that one. I split up the week, the editing to only be the finale, which, I mean, it makes sense. Those videos usually get more views on YouTube anyway. All right, the big one that I and everybody and probably in this audience wants to know. So for SNGL, the main Super Nintendo Gaming League from April 5th, 2024 to March 29th, 2025, it was the best first year I have had throughout all of my attempts. So if you took, I don't have the data on this, but if you took every single year I started my 3 channels, SNGL crushes every single other attempt that I had made. And just in how busy I was, that's a massive success. So lots of social media marketing. I don't pay for marketing, but I post when a video goes up on all platforms. Facebook, both my business and my personal, Instagram, my business, Twitter, or X, I guess, as my business. And eventually I'm going to start going to TikTok once I do shorts. But like I said before, I'm not on TikTok at the moment. Only 15 videos. So yes, that's not a lot of videos. And that actually includes channel updates. So if you include channel updates or exclude them out of the equation, I think it's like 12, about a video per month, basically is what I'm trying to get. Total views, 1,979 views. But for whatever reason, when you go on the YouTube analytics page and it says, oh, your channel got blank views and whatever, if you do a year or a lifetime or whatever, it says 2,000. So it's like, it's about 20 off, a massive increase, almost doubled compared to what SNGL Plus does. The average view duration was about 20 minutes, which is actually pretty good considering how long the videos are. I'm surprised that's not a lot smaller because I think my biggest video was like 8 hours and my shortest one was like 46 minutes. That being The longest one was, I think it was Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, I think. And then also the shortest one was like either Super Mario World or Sonic Colors. And then the average view per video, like I said, only doing 15 videos or short, less quantity gets bigger views per video, if that makes sense. So average view per video was 132. That's not bad. That is actually very reasonable for my first year and how busy I was, and I wasn't able to commit full attention to it. So that was actually pretty good. Most successful video was Mario Party 5 by 4 if you factor in total views and average view duration. So Mario Party 5 was actually number 2 for views. I think the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal reaction got more, I think like by 50. So Mario Party 5 got 420 views as of this recording, and its average view duration was 47 minutes. That is very, very good. And I think that whole Mario Party 5 video was like 2.5 hours, I think. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was very, very... It wasn't 47 minutes long. It was like 2.5 hours. So that's actually pretty good. Almost a little like 40% of the video was watched by most people, which is pretty good. All right, videos ranked. So the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal reaction got 477 views, 2 comments, 5 likes. That's actually pretty solid. And the video is only, I think, like 8 minutes. And I did that on purpose. Originally, I didn't want to do it because I don't like doing reactions to things. I don't like doing content that is just like, oh, this is obviously attention grabbing, but I realize you kind of have to do that to attention on YouTube. It's a very, very weird formula. I don't like doing it. Mario Party 5 was the second most popular supercut, 420 views, like I said, 1 comment and 4 likes. That is very good. Again, Mario Party 5 was interesting because, first of all, I love Mario Party 5. It's my first Mario Party that I played, I think, and I genuinely appreciate and love that game to death. I still have the copy. I recorded it. It was great. The reason I think it did so well is because at the time that it was going up, Super Mario Party Jamboree, I think, came out. And I did not plan it to happen that way, but when I saw how many views I was getting, I was like, huh, why am I getting these many views? And then I looked and I'm like, oh yeah, Super Mario Party Jamboree came out. And that, because Mario Party was trending at that time, that's why that got more views. I'm happy. I didn't plan it that way, but it was great. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. This is, again, probably another solid one that I didn't think was going to do well. Realizing now more than ever, doing a game that came out within 3 months, those videos typically do better, which is common sense. So 221 views, 8 comments, and 1 like. A lot of those 8 comments are mine because I was responding to somebody. And I think that's where I got my first game request. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. So this is where my channel started to tick upwards. This is when I started to realize what worked and what didn't work. So it got 103 views, 2 comments, 1 like. That was actually very, very good. I'm not sure what the view duration on that was. I just did the average total across the board. That was very good, and I'm glad because Donkey Kong Country had done 5 games back to back, so it was kind of annoying, you know. Mario and Luigi Brothership Supercut. So that one had 64 views. It was a lot longer, and the audio was screwed up, so I'm not really surprised that it only did that low. 0 comments and 5 likes. So Mario and Luigi Brothership was very interesting because it was the last LP I did right before I graduated or finished school. So the fact that it did so well, like 64 views, not super great, less than my average, but still stayed above like DKC3 that only got 19 views. Because again, the game audio, I recorded in 2 different audio tracks and it was so quiet. Like if you go back and watch it, you can't hear much of the game audio. It's ridiculous. Donkey Kong Country, my first video did 56 views, 2 comments, 3 likes. And then the next one was Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remake on Switch. That got 37 views. That was a long supercut. I think it was like 6.5, 7 hours. It was a long time. I'm realizing now more than ever, a supercut should only be between 2 and 3 hours. I think that's the maximum I should do, and this ranking definitely shows it. Donkey Kong Country 2 with 38 views, 2 comments, 7 likes. Donkey Kong Country Returns. Originally, Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii, when I recorded it several months ago, only got like 6 views and like 1 comment, but because they did Donkey Kong Country Returns for a 3rd time remake, it got like 24 3 views within the last like month. So that's why Donkey Kong Country 3, which is usually the least popular Donkey Kong Country game, Supercut only got 19 views, 6 comments, and 3 likes. The future. Let's talk about the future. As I've said before, I have The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD recorded. I have to edit it, and I haven't edited it yet. I'm going to start working on that shortly at, right now on March 29th. It should be up by either April 5th or April 11th, so stay tuned. Going to add shorts. So the reason I bring up Mario and Luigi Brothership is because that was the first LP I started doing YouTube shorts, and I fixed the audio problems because this is why keeping your original recordings is so important. When I got my SSD drive around, I want to say November or October, I don't remember when I got it, but when I was recording Mario and Luigi Brothership, I had to format my drive. If you don't know, anytime you get an SSD drive, HDD drive, or any external storage device other than I think an SD card, you have to completely erase it because for whatever reason, when they manufacture it, they almost leave files on there and formatting a specific way just to test to make sure it works. So every time you buy a new one, you have to erase one. Like I just bought an SSD drive that's 8 terabytes. I don't play around with storage because of how big Final Cut Pro files can be. When I was formatting this SSD drive back in November, I accidentally deleted everything on my hard drive, including one of the books I was writing. So the YouTube shorts just completely went away. I had uploaded the supercut, but then that was it. I had planned to release YouTube shorts. It just got erased and I couldn't, it's irredeemable. And I tried looking in my time machine, didn't count. It was by accident. And then we're going to be doing the Switch 2 gameplay, obviously, as we get closer and closer to the Switch 2 release, which at this recording, I don't know when it's going to be released. If I had to guess, probably August or September, just given what the releases were for the Switch presentation that we had a few days ago, which I recorded, but it screwed up because I didn't crop it correctly. And then obviously I want to do more content and I want other things besides Nintendo. I've been thinking about getting a PS5, but one of the coworkers I currently work with is like, hey, if you want to record not on a restrictive system that only does one type of game, why not do a Steam Deck? And I'm like, all right, well, I gotta do my research. I would love to record on a Steam Deck and get it hooked up to my TV and record it just like I would any other console, like I do my Switch. So I'm definitely looking into that. Obviously, this channel is going to be primarily focused on Nintendo, but there are games like the Spider-Man games, like Dragon Ball, Final Fantasy, I've always wanted to play, never have. Things like that. I'm going to try and not miss a video a month like November 2024 and March 2025. But in February, Sonic Colors and Super Mario World were intentionally recorded together and short and uploaded within 4 days apart because I knew I was going to have a tough time with Skyward Sword or my next LP. I didn't know it'd be Skyward Sword at that point. So I'm going to definitely try, and my goal is a video per month next year, and I think it's more feasible than I think. I just, again, buying furniture, getting adjusted, it's going to take me time to get acclimated, but I'm glad we're getting acclimated now and not during the Switch 2 events, presentations, and the release. So better to have these issues now than in the future. And then I'm going to switch to an analog audio system soon, like I've said. I currently record digitally, but I have analog studio professional headphones. It's really weird. Don't ask questions. That is going to be happening. I don't know when it's going to be happening. I got to buy furniture first. Then I want to get some sound foam for this room. And then I plan on, after all that's completed, switching my hybrid microphone from digital to analog. And I got to learn how to do that because I don't even know how to do that. I got to find a good interface to record my audio, probably both digitally and then a mixer itself, a physical mixer. So I'm going to do my research into that. I mean, if you have helpful comments, please leave them in the comments down below if you know anything between analog and digital. And then obviously, closing, this is going to be great. Here are my genuine thoughts over this whole year. There is potential here the way I did it in my first year. So one thing I noticed probably around August, September-ish, I realized that I had struck gold, not in a big way, but I struck in the right spot because you can see a trend from finishing Donkey Kong Country to Mario Party 5, Sonic Colors, and all this stuff. There's potential here. So that's why I think this thing could potentially turn into something eventually. I really hope it does. That'd be genuinely nice. I think we did good in terms of performance considering the circumstances. I mean, my God, last year of college, graduating, homework, working out, my dog, finding a job, getting my diploma, buying furniture, moving to another city. It just, considering everything, I would genuinely consider this first year a success with the circumstances at hand, which is, you got to consider that because that's, even though you guys don't see what I go through, it definitely affects performance. Much improvement needs to be made. Technical issues, which I'm working on, which is normal. You're not supposed to be coming out swinging on your first year. There are changes to be made. So this is not a failure in my book. This past year, recording was my saving grace. As you know, I had not a great 2024, minus finishing school. This is my out. The moment I do not enjoy this anymore, I will not do this anymore as a side hustle because I don't get a nickel from this. I'd love to get a nickel, but I don't get a nickel from recording, editing, uploading, nothing. I don't get anything. So this was my downtime. This is what I genuinely enjoyed. I'm turning it into a second job at the expense of sleep and everything else. I'm definitely glad I got an SSD drive to speed things up in the editing process because when I had an HDD drive, it would go so slow and I still got content out on time. And then, it's crazy to me that the different types of drives do matter. And I didn't know that. And unfortunately, you're not going to know that unless you actually go through it. So this was actually a good learning curve. There is so much more I can bring to this channel, given my catalog of games I've played in my childhood was so limited. I was only allowed to play old Nintendo games and everything was reviewed by a parent. Now I'm an adult and I can literally do whatever I want. I have a lot of games I could record on, and this is why I'm asking everyone to mention down in the comments what would you prefer me to play this next coming year and in the genuine future. And then, like I said, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD Supercut is what I'm currently editing or about to edit. I have to rewatch all my footage and go through that because my HDD drive where all my stuff was erased, or not erased, but it just won't connect to my computer. So I think this year was good. There's improvement to be made. I got to get settled first because I'm not buying all my furniture in one chunk. It's coming bit by bit. I just finished assembling my bed frame this past week. I'm going to be getting a mattress in a month. I could blow a lot of money and build everything up, but it's largely going to be based on what happens in the April 2nd Switch 2 presentation, which I still have not gotten to yet, but you guys, by the time this goes up, will have noticed that. We'll be posting more and more, like I said. I think this was a success. On a number standpoint, was it not? Probably. But if you factor in all the external factors that affected me, I think this was a very good year. And by the way, this is how we can compare. SNGL Plus got like around 1,000 views, and this one got almost 2,000. That's a very good increase, a 50% increase for largely a difference in work ethic, in my opinion. And like I said, this is something I legitimately enjoyed, so it was very great to have that escape to vent and commentate, even though I felt like I was talking to a brick wall a lot of the time, but that's usually how mostly it starts. And of course, thank you all so much for the support. I genuinely appreciate it. These are all the games we recorded. We recorded DKC 1, 2, 3, Returns, Tropical Freeze, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, Marioparty 5, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, Mario and Luigi Brothership, Sonic Colors, Super Mario World, and then again, The Legend of Zelda in the bottom right-hand corner. Skyward Sword will come out eventually, probably April 11th at the latest, but again, don't hold me to that. And I genuinely appreciate the patience. I know it sounds like I'm making excuses, that kind of thing. I promise you I am not. I would love to have everything uploaded and edited, but I'm my own editor, and I'm not going to hire someone if I'm not making at least some money back on YouTube. And again, if you enjoyed any of these LPs that you see on screen, make sure to leave a like, comment down below on what you'd like me to play in the future, like I said at the beginning of this video. And if there's any other suggestions you have, or criticisms, or judgments, or positive things that can be changed to make it better, I welcome that in the comments, and subscribe for more as we get closer to the Switch 2. Thank you guys so much for the first year, and I hope we have a great year 2, as well as a genuine future and hopefully success of this channel one day. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys on the next one.